forum where there is no binding approach, no negotiation. So this is a forum of developed country can exchange views, especially in the economic sector. By saying that, as a consequence, there is no internal ASEAN mechanism to discuss what will be the ASEAN standing on G20. Because we are not negotiating anything. But as Indonesia is the only country who joined the G20, Indonesia represents emerging economies. So we always voice what is the concern of emerging economies. For instance, I also acknowledge that every president of the G20 has the privilege to invite guests of G20. And ASEAN chairman this year is held by Singapore. So Singapore was invited to many G20 meetings in Buenos Aires and other cities in Argentina. But to my knowledge, Singapore came not to represent the voice of ASEAN, but it can also voice what is ASEAN has been doing related to issue discussed at the G20. Because in G20, as far as I'm concerned, it's always voiced their own position, not the region position. By saying that, you also asking what is the role of ASEAN in the outcome of the G20 summit. Of course, as an emerging country, most of ASEAN countries are emerging economies. We would like to see that the outcome of G20 support the multilateralism, because it's very important for us as an emerging economy. Because you also know that multilateralism is currently being challenged by, various developments such as trade war and protectionism. We also would like to see that G20 member states will always stick to the rule-based trade system under the WTO, because it is predictable, open, and inclusive. We would like also, as an emerging economy, that the target to SDG target, we will have a common position. For instance, we would like to have like a combined financing in financing the target to achieve the target of SDG. Not only the government has to finance the activity to achieve the target, but we can also involve the private sectors. Another thing that's also important for us, also in ASEAN, is the digital economy right now. Because it's very important for us, the digital economy, even though it's bring difficulties in many countries, because it's changing our the world, future world, but it also brings a good thing to many countries. Digital economy is important, it changes the landscape of our future world. We believe that digital economy will play an important role in driving the economy to achieve the inclusive economy. That's the relation of ASEAN and G20. But I can assure you there is no strict position that this is the ASEAN position in G20, because G20 is only a forum. I think I can answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you, Ambassador. Now I will ask the Ambassador of Vietnam. Until just a few years ago, we used to talk about the Asia-Pacific region. More recently, we started talking about the Indo-Pacific region. I've just come back from Japan a few weeks ago, and Japan has launched this Indo-Pacific Initiative, which they say is not a response to the Chinese proposal of the new Silk Road, but some people understand that it can be a kind of reaction to this Chinese initiative. This Indo-Pacific Initiative comprises not only East Asia, but also Southeast Asia, India, Australia, and the eastern part of Africa. So, regarding this, what is your take on this political vision of this Indo-Pacific proposal?
Okay. Thank you for your question. I think I have 4 points to make for this question. Number one is that actually, even before this initiative, there are already existing mechanisms concerning political, security, economic, in the region, that ASEAN plays a very important role, or the central role. I can name some as ASEAN Plus 3, ASEAN Plus 1, or ARF, as you said, or EAS, which is very important. So that's my point number one. Number two is that at present, the idea of Indo-Pacific initiative or strategy is not the only initiative. There are other initiatives that you just mentioned, the New Silk Road, or you can say the One Belt One Road initiative, or even the Japanese suggestion of, I think, the expanded partnership for quality infrastructure. So not only that Indo-Pacific initiative is being put out for the region to look at, but there are other initiatives. Against the background of the existing mechanism that we do have. And so I come to point number 3, is that we do notice all these initiatives, and we are now conducting very serious discussion on these initiatives. And one of the key points when we discuss this is how we can keep the ASEAN centrality in this mechanism, or structures, or whatever we call it. That's very important for ASEAN, because history, the current situation and the future can still consolidate our centrality. And we have been assuming that task for a long time, successfully. And I come to the last point. In that spirit, we look forward to further discussion with any initiators to talk about that, including the Indo-Pacific concept. And I think whatever the concept is, it should maintain the principles of ASEAN as centrality, openness, transparency, inclusivity, and group-based approach. And I think that if that principles, or those principles can be maintained, it can contribute to peace and stability and to benefits to the whole region. Thank you.
El micrófono.
Ambassador Lacanati, Ambassador of the Philippines, recently arrived to our country. How the different initiatives of economic cooperation within ASEAN, such as GMS and BIM, IAGA, coexist with AEC integration process?
Thank you, Ambassador Shu. First of all, I'd like to mention that the ASEAN Economic Community's vision is to have a highly integrated economic community, and which is outward looking and yet globally competitive. So even before the launching of the ASEAN Economic Community in 2015, the BIM, IAGA, and the GMS, these are the sub-regional frameworks have already existed. So BPIAGA is composed of Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. PIAGA means East Asia Growth Area. Now, if you will look at your map, fortunately I cannot have a PowerPoint, these areas belong to countries or areas in the BPIAGA are contiguous to one another. And therefore they share common concerns, special situations that they need to work together so that they can hasten also their economic development and social development. Now the same is true with the GMS. GMS is composed of the Greater Mekong sub-regions. And the same idea, this was launched in 1992, which is earlier than the AEC. So these sub-regional frameworks had the same vision or the same goals, which is to integrate more closely by cooperating with one another. Now, these sub-regional groupings actually enhance or contribute to the ultimate goal of the ASEAN community to be highly integrated. So they are contributing to the ultimate goal of ASEAN, to be closely integrated. So there is actually clearly a complementarity among the sub-regional groupings and the association, the ASEAN Economic Community.
Thank you, Ambassador. Now I'll ask the Chargé d'Affaires of Thailand. What is your evaluation of EALAC as a tool to increase the engagement, deeper knowledge, and
Regional economic environment, like higher tariffs, exchange rates higher, and so forth, have affected ASEAN or have affected countries of members of ASEAN?
Thank you. This is a very big question, actually, and I have only 3 minutes to answer. It's a common sense that the international trade or international economy changes affect all countries in the world, no exception. So I really think that it affects us all. However, for ASEAN, most of our economies are very open. We are export-oriented economies. So the changes in international economic situations really affect us in various ways, aspects, and levels, depending on individual countries. I think very recently, last October, at the gatherings in Bali, in Indonesia, our leaders acknowledged that the complications of international economic situation right now is partly due to the changes in the strategies of major powers, or you may call it the trade frictions, or you call trade war, or anything. All these are the trend of protectionism, which really affect us all. So my colleague here also mentioned about the fourth revolution in technology. These things affect us all. So what do we do to deal with this? We do it in 2 ways. Number one, we try to consolidate the mechanism within ourselves to keep the trade flow within ourselves through our mechanism in the economy, like the AEC and various mechanisms that you will forget right away when I mention them, because they are very complicated. However, we do it 2 ways. One, we do it internally, and 2, we do it with other partners. So ASEAN, for example, most notably, now we are dealing with 6 other countries to do the regional comprehensive economic program. We call it RAP. RCEP. And we have gone through 23 rounds of talk with this. And we are still in discussion with this group, but we are hopeful that reaching out to other other groupings would help us alleviate the negative effects of the international situation and maximize the opportunities that it may offer. So we do hope that our optimism, or the optimism that is shared by IMF or World Bank, can be achieved, because IMF and World Bank still estimates that our growth rates, our means ASEAN economy growth rate, will continue to develop or to be maintained at 5.2% this year, or 5.3% next year. So that's very interesting. And I have the reasons to believe that we can achieve that. Thank you.
Ambassador of the Philippines. How do AEC integration process coexist with different trade mega agreements, such as CP, TTP, and RCEP?
Thank you. As your question states, AEC integration process. I will start with the RCEP, which has been mentioned by the ambassador of Vietnam. RCEP, the ASEAN RCEP, or it's really a mouthful actually, Regional Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Partnership. This is an initiative of ASEAN to harmonize and unify all the 6 free trade agreements which it has with each individual dialogue partner. So we have, as Ambassador Zoom has mentioned, we have 6 FTAs, ASEAN plus 1 FTAs, that's how we refer it to. So we're trying to have a common free trade agreement. But of course, as Ambassador Zoom has mentioned, there have been a series of negotiations. It is not an easy agreement to conclude, because each country and each of the dialogue partners have special concerns. And also because of the element of protectionism, it's not easy for everybody to accept common agreement. But we hope that Singapore, as chair of the ASEAN this year, will be able to conclude the RCEP. Now, once the RCEP is concluded, it will be the largest trade deal in terms of population, because it will account for an aggregate of 3.5 billion people based on 2016 data. It will contribute about 32% of global GDP and over a quarter of world exports. So we hopefully RCEP will provide a framework aimed at lowering trade barriers and securing improved market access for goods and services for business in the region. Now, RCEP will also be open to third parties outside of the 6 dialogue partners through accession in the future. Now, the other grouping which was mentioned was the CPTPP, or the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. This agreement is composed of 11 countries. 4 of the ASEAN countries are members of this framework. Namely, we have Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Singapore. So 4 out of the 10. Now this is different because this is not in the context of ASEAN. It is more or less, you can consider this like a bilateral agreement. One ASEAN country, sovereign, would like to see advantages in joining this framework, and therefore they are free to do so. Being a member of ASEAN doesn't prohibit you or prevent you from entering into other agreements where it would be beneficial or mutually beneficial to the country. So there is no conflict between the ASEAN economic integration process, but it will probably also hasten or contribute to the vigorous trade relations between the members of ASEAN and the members of the CPTPP.
Mr. Yuan Chargé d'Affaires of the ASEAN. Which are the main cultural links that you consider and highlight as the most important ones in the relationship between ASEAN and Latin America?
Okay, even though the Southeast Asia and Latin America is quite far apart by this time, we also have shared some of the similar roots and common values. Firstly, both regions comprise developing countries, and we are grouping together in the regional platform just as ASEAN and Asiatico. And secondly, we also quite similar in the cultural links. We get used to use the chili or spicy in our cuisine as well, and also because this is also important for the regional Southeast Asia to Latin America, and we also have a link by the Latin culture and during the colonial trade for many hundred years ago as well. But thirdly, this is my personal. I think that the people of those regions share one common value. This means that we share the thing that we call the openness to the world. We are easily adapted for the foreigner or many countries as well. And we are open in the culture. We are fun-loving, we're sports-loving, also family-oriented. Because we are based on a cultural-based community. We also both have the openness in mind and sharing, and also we have sharing in the Ta'am or the traditional indigenous knowledge, which are also resulted in the Asian civilization and also the long history that we have in those two regions. Thank you.
Dato Halik, Ambassador of Malaysia. Which have been the main obstacles that challenge the cohesion of the organization of ASEAN along the last 50 years?
Thank you. I also have to call him Dato Sadus. He was given a very high honor by the government of Malaysia because he was the ambassador of Malaysia for 6 years. I think we can clap for, can we give a round of applause? Okay, so question about main obstacle and challenges on the cohesion of ASEAN. I think I want to start this by quoting what we have an EPG, Eminent Person Group, which was created way back in 10 years ago during our ASEAN Charter in 2007. And this great EPG group mentioned, very simple, in a simple word, ensuring compliance and effective implementation of decision. That is the obstacle. So I repeat again, ensuring compliance and effective implementation of decision. So in describing this statement, I will put it in 4 points. 1, although we are 10 countries, we talk about unity in diversity, but we have a common problem on the different political system, we have different economic system, we have different foreign policies, and also we have a different security outlook. Each countries have their own problems or their own stand in these points that I mentioned to you. By the end of the day, when in ASEAN, we talk about consensus. We talk about the overall big picture of ASEAN. So although diversity is a strength, but it can be a weakness. We are yet to be tested in full, in totality in this first point. Second point, very clearly there is a big development gap.
we have 10 countries. And you know, we were 5 countries first before, in 1967, 84 Brunei joined, 95 Vietnam joined us, 97 we have Laos and Myanmar, and 99 we have Cambodia. So we have.
Can we learn something about the design of programs for energy development in the ASEAN group? And specifically, also we are interested in learning something about if you have any plans for nuclear energy.
Thank you, Ambassador Xu. Well, as everybody realized, energy is key to realizing the ASEAN economic community. And power will be very important for us to move forward. And to sustain this, and the ASEAN had to created an ASEAN plan of action for 2016 to 2025, which outlines key initiatives towards energy development in the region. And this covers embarking on multilateral electricity trading to accelerate the realization of an ASEAN power grid, and enhancing gas connectivity, to expanding the focus of the Trans-ASEAN gas pipeline to include the liquefied natural gas, and also to for terminals to be established, as well as to promote clean coal technology. Of course, we will also be looking into a mix of renewable energies and plus energy efficiency measures. With respect to the ASEAN, the direction towards the use of nuclear energy for peaceful uses or civilian purposes or source of power, there is a recognition already of the importance of nuclear energy and as an option power source, and therefore there was created a nuclear energy cooperation subsector network. It was created in 2008, and this would be a specialized body in ASEAN to shepherd ASEAN cooperation in this area, sharing information, exchanging technical assistance, networking, and training. However, up to this point, or up to 2017, as of 2017, there has been no political decision, definite political decision, to go into nuclear power. For many reasons, I can speak of the Philippines, and before I go into that, but there has already been a study on the different stages of nuclear preparedness of the ASEAN countries. Some countries in the ASEAN already have the infrastructure because they use nuclear energy for medical purposes, for agriculture, for food, also for peaceful uses in general. And some already have research reactors. So, and they have also trained human resources to handle the application of nuclear energy. So there are different stages of nuclear preparedness, but nothing yet specific to go and establish towards establishing a nuclear power plant for electricity. I don't know, the other countries may be able to say something about that, but if the study which was conducted by the ASEAN Center for Energy, they published a pre-feasibility study on the establishment of nuclear power plants in ASEAN. And they identified countries which are the front runners to establish nuclear power plants in the region. I don't know, you may correct me, but this is part of the study. Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, and the Philippines have already to some degree certain infrastructure but not yet as fully developed as required to have a nuclear power plant. It is also said, the study said, that Indonesia is expected to commercialize its first experimental nuclear power plant by 2030, and Malaysia and Thailand are expected to introduce nuclear power to the respective national energy mix by 2035, while Vietnam and the Philippines are committed to introducing nuclear energy in the long term. As I said, no definite political decision has been taken. Why? Because there's still the issue of public acceptance of nuclear power, nuclear energy. And the safety issue is a huge concern. And of course, with recent events of terrorism, the issue of security and safety in terms of keeping these nuclear power plants secure from terrorist activities has become a growing concern. So therefore, this will probably be factors that might inhibit or delay any decision, concrete decision towards building a nuclear power plant.
Well, now to the Chargé d'Affaires of Thailand. What are the initiatives taken by ASEAN to expose its cultural diversity to the rest of the world?
Okay. A number of cultural activities and initiatives has been carried out by ASEAN with the will to promote the cultural diversity both among ASEAN and also outside ASEAN. We have the ASEAN Cultural Center. It was established in Thailand to serve as an initiative for learning center for cultural heritage of ASEAN member states, and also the platform for visitors from external countries to learn the cultural diversity in ASEAN. Okay. In 2019, Thailand will assume the ASEAN chairmanship next year. And also, ASEAN has proved that into the world for the strong people-to-people connection and the important tools that to strengthen the closer bond between ASEAN people and other community. Thailand proposed the year 2019 to be designated as the ASEAN Cultural Year, which also agreed by the meeting during the ASEAN ministers responsible for the culture and arts in October this year. The ASEAN Cultural Year aims to make ASEAN the finest culture known to be in the form of the ASEAN Cultural Roadshow. We have the roadshow. Another theme. We have three keywords about this one. The first is diversify, creativity, and sustainability. And in the ASEAN Cultural Truths, we expect it to perform in many countries, okay, including our ASEAN country, and also in foreign countries like Japan, China, and South Korea, which they are also already to register and their interest to have a co-host in the ASEAN for showcasing for the cultural truth this year. ASEAN stands ready to welcome you to visit all the events that we will carry out, and also looking forward to have a close tie of the cultural linkage between ASEAN and also Latin America.
Well, now we are going to have the last round of questions. Ambassador of Malaysia, this question is a question that we always have discussions with you and your colleagues. Which are the main threats that you consider the organization of ASEAN will face in the future?
Thank you, my good friend. Certainly, this question is related to what I've answered in my third question just now, the main threats that any organization will face. And as you know, we are already passing the 50 years of the establishment of ASEAN. So the main threat will be again the diversity. We are 10 countries with differences. And I say that although we have managed to contain these differences until now, but we are not sure in the future because things are changing every day. The landscape, the environment, and also the powers who are in Southeast Asia. This first. Secondly, I think we, as you know, that after we have organized ourselves in the political area, we become a big economic mind in the economic. So we have the economic integration. But still, we must know that 10 ASEAN countries, we have a big portion of our SMEs, small and medium enterprises. So it has been said that ASEAN need to do a lot to rectify, to complement the SMEs. So this is another area that we think can become a threat to the ASEAN economic integration. We are working on that, and we hope we can achieve a standard, or we can overcome these problems that we are having in the SMEs. Number 3, this I like to compare with the European Union. Certainly we are not the European Union, we are not a custom union. But ASEAN, there is a survey done, and we sense that in ASEAN citizens, we don't have the sense of ASEAN. We don't call ourselves as ASEAN citizens. We always say that we are from Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, and so on. So we must have the sense of ASEAN in ASEAN. So I think the countries need to do more. We need to educate our people. We must think like ASEAN. Number 3. Number 4 is again, I think I want to mention about the geopolitical, the superpowers and so on. But still, this superpower influence in the Southeast Asia can also become a threat if the countries choose to take side. So ASEAN must not take side. We must talk and speak on a single language and voice, which is the ASEAN centrality. So again, people say, don't only talk central, act central. So we need to act central in bringing ASEAN to a better position. And the last problem that we think, or threat that we believe that we can have, is on the, again, we don't want to compare with the European Union, but we don't have an ASEAN foreign policy. We have policies of the 10 countries that are together and decide, and we saw the bigger pictures that we must be united, we must have consensus, we must at one point to give in some of even our national interests to have this bigger picture of ASEAN. So I believe until now we have achieved it, and we are trying our best to make sure ASEAN will be there for another 50 years. Thank you very much.
Well, I must thank all of you for having completed this tiresome questionnaire that we have posed to you, but I think it has been extremely interesting to hear your views, your position, and to understand more about the functioning of a very successful organization as is the ASEAN in its 51st anniversary. Now we still have a few minutes, so we will open for 3 questions, no more than that, but we will open for 3 questions for the public. So whoever wants to ask a question, please raise a hand. Okay, see. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations on 51 years of success, and welcome to Buenos Aires. One question I have for all of you, you did touch upon the major powers' influence. You also touched upon the importance of the freedom of navigation. My question concerns China's increasingly belligerent behavior. All of your countries have, in the past at one time, had problems with China, in some cases going back hundreds of years. their military construction in the South China Sea, among other things, does not bode very well. Xi cannot afford to lose face in any way, shape, or form. He knows he is finished with this. China wants basically to be the ruler in Asia, which means over all of your countries. Now, I understand for reasons possibly of your own national security, you cannot go into great detail, but what do we do about China's increasingly belligerent behavior? Thank you. We hope to see you here again sometime.
No, well, we can answer one.
Thank you very much for your concern. And well, it's certainly, I would say, not only China, but all countries who have interest with ASEAN is a concern to us. But on China, I think let's go back in 2002, actually when there was this Declaration of Code of Conduct, we call it DOC, where China signed with 10 ASEAN countries. In the DOC, there was already spelled out that the concern that ASEAN has in terms of maritime or navigation and so on, and that was the declaration then. But just the recent ASEAN meeting, and I think it was the biggest breakthrough that we had with China, where there was a document to discuss on the code of conduct. That was declaration before, but now there is COD, code of conduct, where the very first time ASEAN and China agree on a language, on a statement, and which in the statement, which I cannot inform you because they have agreed, and now they are sitting down and they will go through every single word on this code of conduct. So this latest achievement for us, ASEAN, is the biggest breakthrough that we have on a particular country, in this case China. And I think we believe all countries have to respect the law of the day, and in the case of China, they are also member in ASEAN Plus 3, where I would like to say this, ASEAN Plus 3 is another big achievement because very first time, 3 superpowers of Asia, China, Japan, and Korea, sit in the same room with 10 ASEAN countries. And we go through all the issues that we want to discuss openly. Although it is not, sometimes it's not been reported outside, but ASEAN Plus 3 is another big achievement. And another thing is, we are talking about defense, and I would like to pose to you is where can you find a meeting where attended by 27 countries, all the superpower, in a meeting where we call ASEAN Regional Forum. Okay, we have 27 countries sitting down, although it's a loose forum, but it is the only forum in the world. You have the superpowers and wherever countries they are, plus ASEAN in discussing issues of defense. So I think we take into, we are very serious on the issue of any single country in, I would say, exerting their powers. But I think with the signing of COD, we will able to contain this in the assembly. Thank you very much. I don't know if anybody wants to add.
Yes. Thank you for the question, and I think our chair of the ACDA has answered most of what I'd like to say. There is one point I would like to emphasize, that what Mr. Chair said, the Ambassador of Malaysia said about 2 documents. Number one is the DOC, Declaration of Conduct, which came into effect in 2002, and which so far has not been strictly observed. That's why you have seen recent developments taking place in the South China Sea, including some, as you name it, militarizations, some land in the waters. But luckily, we have the second document, which is the COC, the Code of Conduct, which is being discussed. I'd like to say more specific about this. The framework for COC has been agreed between China and the 10 ASEAN countries. We agree in principle with the framework. Now, the devil is in the details. So we are working on the details right now. And ASEAN countries do not want to have another document that is not really works. That does not work. So we hope that COC would be effective and should be substantive. Many people talk about legally binding significance of this document. We are still working on it. And if we can't reach it, we will have another declaration without real effect. That's my comment.
Thank you.
Well, I think you all know that the Philippines has been in the forefront of issuing the West, we call it the West Philippine Seas, not the China Seas anymore. But we've always maintained the position, and I think you all know